reading this morning is a poem written by Rachel Barenblatt. On one level, it's a poem about Hanukkah, but I think it carries some deeper meaning today as well. It's called Rededication. Some days I can enter the Holy of Holies by snapping my fingers. The door swings open. Other days I ransack every pocket to find the key, and when I get inside, the room is darkened. There's mud on the floor. The intricate altar is grimy, askew, its heartbeat silenced. I sweep the ashes away, open my thermos of tea, rehang the tapestries, great branches arching. At last, I light the lamp. The glint, the glow, regenerating the home fire, eternally burning. Learn to trust again that this oil is enough to open my eyes to God already here. A poem by Rachel Barenblatt. We'll pause in our service now to give an opportunity for I was going to start today's sermon with a lighthearted talk about all the predictions about the end of the world, you know, the Mayan calendar and all that. In fact, I wrote that sermon over a week ago. Then Friday happened. I was in New York City with friends just 40 miles or so from Newtown, Connecticut. It was a beautiful, cool, crisp day. And why is that? Why is it always a beautiful day when things like this happen? I remember 9/11 was a beautiful day as well. It always starts out like any other day, doesn't it? We drink our coffee, kiss our kids goodbye, and head off to work. Ordinary. That long string of days that preceded Friday was like any other. No hint of what was to come. Why would we expect Friday to be any different than Thursday or Wednesday or the day before that or the day before that? Sometimes our days are so ordinary, this whole march of days, that we get bored. It's monotonous. We even complain about how ordinary our lives are. And then something like this happens, and we would give anything for it to have been just an ordinary day. We cannot fathom the grief of the parents who lost children in Friday's tragedy, how an ordinary day turned into a nightmare they'll relive for the rest of their lives. I woke up Saturday morning thinking about how many mornings these parents will wake up and for the briefest moment, that time between sleep and being fully awake, and they'll think for an instant, this was just a dream. And then that instant will pass and they'll realize it was a nightmare, all too real. I think that the human brain is hardwired to not enable us to understand or appreciate, to go there, to experience what these people are going through, what their gut-wrenching grief is like. It's a defense mechanism that allows us to kiss our kids goodbye and to put them on the bus every morning. Unless we've lost a child ourselves, we can't imagine it. And I think that's as it should be. In a very real way, for 27 families, the world came to an end on Friday morning. Yes, they will go on living a new reality with broken hearts and empty chairs at the dining room table. But life as they knew it ended on Friday. We don't need a Mayan calendar or the leader of some apocalyptic cult to tell us that. Dire predictions of the end of the world do little to arouse us We don't change our habits or act like they're real, but what the Sandy Hook shootings do show us is that our world, the world as we know it and love it, our ordinary world, can come to an end in an instant. Out of the blue, on a beautiful, clear, blue day, everything we know and love can be lost without warning. And so today, I don't want to talk to you about gun control and the Second Amendment. I don't want to talk to you about mental health services or the breakdown of the family or the fabric of society. What I want to talk to you about today is how we live our lives knowing that it can all change in an instant. Because as much as we might like to deny it, it can. And the end is always near. Now, this doesn't come as news to us that our lives and the lives of our loved ones are precarious. And I don't think it's possible or even very positive to live each day like it's our last. That would put too much strain on us and on our spirits. To live like we're dying isn't realistic, nor would it in all likelihood make us particularly productive members of society. There are likely a good number of us who would probably lock the doors and pull down the shades, hiding in our homes, trying to keep the tiger at bay, living a no-risk life in a desperate attempt to prolong it. And then there are others who would take the narcissistic approach, do all the things we've wanted to do, empty our bank accounts and take a trip around the world, check as many things off our bucket list as we can, trying to keep one step ahead of the Grim Reaper. There's really no way to know what we would do, how any of us would react if we knew the world, our world, was coming to an end in the not-too-distant future. But perhaps we can learn something from those who are facing death and those who know it. Bronnie Ware is a palliative care nurse who has walked with hundreds of people through their last days on earth. And she has compiled what she's been told by these patients in a book entitled The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And not surprisingly, never having gone bungee jumping or parachuting is not among them. Using poignant and touching stories of her patients, Ware has collated their longings into 5 broad categories. The top 5 regrets of the dying. Number 1, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. A life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Number 2, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Number 3, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. The 4th is, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. And the 5th, I wish I had let myself be happier. These 5 responses do point us towards a deeper response to that question of how we might live like we're dying. They say that we might live more authentically, with more integrity, to search and discover and then live into who we truly are and who we're truly meant to be, knowing that that may disappoint people, our parents, our families, our friends. These responses tell us that we'd work to reinforce the relationships we have and that we would try to restore those that we've lost. That our relationships are truly what matter and that we wouldn't treat them casually or take them for granted. That we'd really work at them instead of letting them just drift away as we do sometimes. They also show that we would try to establish a healthier balance between meeting our obligations and enjoying our lives. That pleasure isn't purposeless, and the Puritan work ethic and our desire for more money, more stuff, isn't the ultimate goal. Perhaps we might even simplify our lives and learn the meaning of the word enough. And finally, these conversations reveal that we would give ourselves permission or even make the conscious choice to be happier, to be content with our lives, to approach life in a way that's lighter and less burdened, to claim the contentment we're entitled to instead of beating ourselves up over our shortcomings. So the 5 regrets of the dying again. I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expect of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends, and I wish I'd let myself be happier. Dr. Ira Byock is another specialist in end-of-life care. In his years of work with terminally ill patients and their families, he has arrived at the conclusion that there are 4 things that he says matter most. These 4 things serve as guideposts for the journey, even if we're not near the end of it, as his patients are. They inform how we are or can be with each other in our relationships, how we can be with family and friends. As Dr. Byock says in the introduction to his book, comprising just 11 words, these 4 short sentences carry the core wisdom of what people who are dying have taught me about what matters most in life. And those 4 short sentences are, please forgive me, I forgive you, thank you, and I love you. Please forgive me, I forgive you, thank you, I love you. The specter of death, Dr. Byock writes, reveals our relationships to be our most precious possessions. We all know that to be true when we do stop and think about it. But sometimes we lose sight of it in all our busyness, our drive to get ahead and to get things done, or in the simple ordinariness of our everyday lives. Asking for and granting forgiveness and expressing both our love and our gratitude helps to reconcile relationships that are broken and to reinforce those that are not. These 4 statements open the doors to experiencing those relationships in new and deeply profound ways, ways that are anything but ordinary. Please forgive me. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. 4 things that matter most. And there is one more sage to whom I turn when thinking about how to live a life that, in his words, a life that is worth dying for, and that's Reverend Forrest Church. He put it in terms of just 3 simple sentences. Be who you are, want what you have, do what you can. Be who you are, want what you have, do what you can. I don't think I could put it any more succinctly than that. And I've preached a separate sermon on each of those sentences previously, so I'm not going to elaborate on them here. So when we bring all these words together, we learn to be ourselves, allow ourselves to be happy, treasure the precious people in our lives and let them know that we do. Seek and grant forgiveness early and often. Allow our love to gain full expression in the words we say and the way we live. Be grateful for what we have, and don't keep reaching so far for that ever-elusive brass ring. It's not rocket science, good people, it's not. It's both profoundly simple and, at least to me, simply profound. In our opening hymn today, we sang a prayer of hope for safety and solace. May nothing evil cross this door, and may ill fortune never pry about these windows. may the roar and rain go by. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though these sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep hate out and to hold love in. As much as we pray for safety and security, for days of peace, for protection from hate and harm, we are sometimes powerless to keep evil from crossing the door or the roaring rain from soaking us. An ordinary day can turn to tragedy at the drop of a hat. And to tell you the truth, I've always been bothered by that last line of the hymn, may they be strong to keep hate out and hold love in. Because what we are called to do in this life is not to hold love in, but to let love out. We don't want to hoard our love for this world. We want to spend it extravagantly. We want to plant seeds of love along the highways and byways until it blooms in every corner, overcoming evil at every turn. In the face of horrific events like the Newtown shootings, and in the face of the ordinariness of our everyday lives, let us resolve to live with authenticity, with balance, with courage. Let us ask for and offer forgiveness. Let us share with each other the love that we hold in our hearts, and let us be deeply grateful for this one wild and precious life we are given. This day and every day, I wish you peace. Amen.